again. Welcome back. Stephen Howson, Ronaldo Brown.
And I don't have a Red Bull. Do you know what's funny though? Jaden came with the Red Bulls and I was like, can I have one? And he was like, oh, there's free for Steve. And I was like, yeah.
You want one?
I actually...
You can have one.
Can I have one?
Oh,
nah, never mind.
Do you know what is so funny? I did an impromptu tour yesterday. Obviously, he was there, you saw that. And the amount of people that thought I recorded this stuff at home is insane. Like, did you think that this...
Like the studio and stuff?
Yeah. Like, so... Most of the videos that you see where I've got that black background, there's a couple of frames behind me. That's in my office upstairs, right?
Ah, it does have a little bit of a home office kind of vibe. Yeah,
it's my office, and then like there's like a pen next to it, like a Joe. What is it, like 8 tables or something? That's where Jay and Joe sit. They weren't there yesterday when I did my little tour, but all the other editing goes on in there. Then we have the bar where Deji and Ronnie and Deck and that usually work, and that's all on the top floor. And then we have this in the basement.
I know.
Did people think that this was like in my house?
Nah, some people, surely not. To be fair.
So I did a bit of a tour yesterday for anyone who caught it in the Casemiro video, like what, 10 minutes in or something like that. Just, yeah, it was one of them, wasn't it?
Nah, obviously, because you walked around with the, and everyone said that I looked depressed.
That's just Ronnie's face normally.
It was intense focus. Believe it or not, I do sometimes have moments of intense focus, but yeah, it's the office is pretty. I think it's one of the best offices I've ever been in, and that probably sounds a little bit biased. Obviously, been to the New Era one, been to a couple of different offices. I just think the whole downstairs studio, upstairs vibe, it's top notch.
Get in the comments, see what you guys are saying, what you're up to. We're gonna go pub after this.
Is it pub drinking or pub food, or is it a mixture of both?
Both. I'm gonna have a pint. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday somewhere.
It's beer garden season. Even though I don't drink beer, I don't know who does that. Could never ever be me. I don't think I really see you.
Do you know what? It depends on the mood, man. It's how hot actually is it today? 21 degrees, man. That's official beer weather. So I'm almost ashamed to admit it because of the connotations, but
because you wear shorts as soon as it's 15.
Yeah, that's shorts weather though. But then it's beer weather's 20. Look, there's a scale on it. I'll talk you through it. I actually do like a Blue Moon lager. I shouldn't. I should avoid everything that looks like anything that could have any connotation with City, but it isn't any connotation with City. It's Belgian. It's nice.
And
it's refreshing.
A Blue Moon lager, that honestly means nothing to me. I don't know any of the terminologies.
Should I educate you
any of the differences?
Should I educate
you? Can educate me.
Follow us on Instagram, and I'll educate you. And once we wrap this up, we'll go over the road and we'll have a bev, and I'll get Ronnie a Blue Moon lager. They're nice, man. They're like really refreshing.
All right, get me one, and I'll try it, and then it can be some sort of like. Not a mukbang, but almost like Ronnie's first ever lager, because I've actually never had a lager before.
Right, okay.
25 years old, never had a lager, never had a beer.
Wait. Never had a beer?
Nah, never. I think the most I've done is like had a bit of a taste and thought, yeah, that's not for me.
There's a phrase people will use like beer, Guinness, all that sort of stuff. It's an acquired taste, which is mad because no one has to like, hey, chicken, it's an acquired taste. Nah, we like it. Like, or like something that's delicious, like chocolate. Like no one ever got.
I'm of the belief that people are forcing themselves to like it. So it's one of them things like where you start off and it's like, this tastes a bit weird, tastes a bit bitter, and then you just do it out of like cultural or social norms. That probably if you go to the pub or you're around that kind of social environment, and then eventually your palate just becomes used to it, and then
there's probably something in that.
Has to be because it's terrible.
It's not terrible. Like I don't crave it because that sounds like I've got a problem I need to talk to someone about. But I definitely do have days where the weather's right. You know, there's a breeze, there's no clouds. We're talking 23 degrees. So it's a very specific sort of thing here, and you go, and it might be cultural pressure. I go, I need to go and have a beer. I do have the random beer. Like we have a fucking fridge full of beers. We also have a bar full of rum as well. But you know.
All right, listen. Well, basically, Matt G's basically paid for my beer anyway. But but you know what?
From Matt G.
After, you'll record it and we'll see the results, and I'll be as honest as possible. But because Matt G is so kindly probably paid for the beer, it's only right that we actually read out his super chat, and he's actually talking about.
Great segue. Even if it was intentional or not intentional.
That behind me,
segue.
Which is a picture of the Three Musketeers. You've got Graham Potter, Tommy Tuchel, and Gareth Southgate. And the question is, would INEOS regret this? Because these are 3 managers that are getting the most traction and the most noise in terms of their links to Manchester United. And they actually do seem like very, very genuine, real links, because Ten Hag's job seems to be in a little bit of limbo. I don't think you can definitively say it's one way or the other. Could very well be staying.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
I actually don't think that there's anyone that could give you any indication. Like I saw quite a few people from United at the 99 thing last night, and do you know how much temptation there is to be like, yo, what? I mean, Steve McLaren being one of them.
Yeah.
Like, how much temptation to be like, yo, what's fucking happening?
Yeah.
No one's going to tell you. No one's going to be like, oh, by the way, yeah, I've actually got a U-Haul outside my house right now. Like, they're not going to tell you. And they might not even know. They probably don't even know. If there's a decision being made on a manager, it probably is between like those 5, like your Barada, your Radcliffe, your Brailsford, your Blanc, Wilcott. It's probably within that WhatsApp group probably knows.
My belief is, I think INEOS would rather keep Ten Hag. And I think that's always the belief that they've had. But it's just
the
whether
analyses Radcliffe has made about...
Yeah.
He referenced the Arteta mistake once, didn't it? And he's also talked about how no manager could be successful under the conditions that have existed at United. So it does lead you to lean towards patience.
But then again, you heard that apparently the decision won't be Sir Jim Ratcliffe's. The decision will be very much like Barada and the people, the crew below him. But to me, it does seem like they would rather keep Ten Hag. And if Ten Hag is to go, it's because the situation almost becomes untenable, which is United are losing every game and playing really badly.
Yep.
I think Ten Hag...
That's undeniable.
I think the last month or so has made the decision more difficult for INEOS, because I think INEOS would have rather have kept him. But if Ten Hag finishes poorly...
Once he got the nod... Sorry, once they got the nod that the deal was done and they was becoming the new owners of the football club, I think at that moment, the decision to keep him for another year was 99%, maybe worst case 95% that he stays. But since then and now, I absolutely think that chance has eroded, and I don't know where it sits now. And it might be 50-50, it might even be more in favour of that he goes, but it's nowhere near like the very likely that he kicks around.
He was on I think he was on a trial period. He was on a trial period with the INEOS probably looking at him thinking, we'd rather keep you to not have too much disruption and too much change, because we've changed so much already. But the way that Ten Hag's kind of obviously and United have performed within the last couple of months and how the season may end might result in a decision having to be made. And I think a lot of the concern is whether you're Ten Hag in or you're Ten Hag out, or wherever you lie on that spectrum, it's where do you think United should go after? And it's the manager links that are quite underwhelming, because for me, I've been quite vocal in terms of how critical I have been of Ten Hag, but I don't really want. I'd rather keep Ten Hag than appoint Southgate or probably Potter or even Tuchel, because I think Tuchel is short term. You might get a little bit of a boost, but he's never been a long term manager.
Well, I think Potter and Southgate, I unequivocally would be devastated with that appointment.
I'd rather Potter than Southgate, but then,
it's a better appointment than Southgate, but it's still oh my god appointment. And you got to remember, Potter followed Tuchel. Already we've seen that, and you've seen the difference. It was like a 50% drop off in wins. So like, if you was trying to evaluate any managers on any level of scale, you can't put Potter and Tuchel in the same thing, because at the same club under the same conditions, one was like twice as effective.
Yeah.
Now you can argue different club, different circumstances, different skill set might be required, but when you can try to distill it down to as even a comparison as possible, Tuchel sits comfortably a lot higher
than them two.
And I still have a lot of question marks about Tuchel.
About Tuchel as well. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a manager outside of Xabi Alonso right now that would make me go... Oh.
And that is what's leading people to kind of scoff at the idea of getting rid of the managers, because it's like, who do we get in? Because at the point when we appointed Ten Hag, he was probably the best in class in terms of coming up. And
he was the Alonso of the time.
Yeah, and the way he's performed this season has been poor, and I've been very vocal about it. And I've not really seen anything from him in the last 6 months that gives me any type of like thing to get behind him. I know that there's been injuries, but there's also been issues that he's compounded, and I've been thinking if United were to move on from Ten Hag, I wouldn't be against that. But if they were to keep him, I wouldn't like be kicking up a fuss either, because, and that's not me sitting on the fence, it's just the fact that I do understand the point of what manager are you going to get in, because I think the next appointment, every appointment now, over the past decade, has become more and more important, and then more and more scrutiny behind it, because it's the further that United get away from what they once were. So that's what concerns me, and I'm the type of person, you know me, I'd rather than like even Tuchel or a Southgate or a Potter, I'm more of like a hipster choice guy. But Ten Hag was a bit of a hipster choice when we appointed him.
He was, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
and his first season happened. I don't think you can ignore what happened in his first season because of what's happened this season, and you have to take him a little bit at face value when he says the injuries have impacted my ability to do X, Y, and Z. And I'll take that at face value. But I like you, I also go, okay, I'll give you the injuries. However, like some game, like you're not going to be able to play Plan A all the time. I don't even think City really play Plan A all the time. I think City adapts, 10%, 15% here and there on Plan A to get a job done over a team that might pose a particular threat or difficulty for them. And I think that's what you have to do. I think it's childish to assume that you can just play Plan A. And people will say, oh, well, he did adapt a little bit at City this year, and I think at Anfield we also adapted a little bit this year. Okay, but what he's saying, and I should put more weight in what he's doing rather than what he's saying, but what he is saying is, I'm only teaching the lads to play one way, and I'll keep teaching them that way until everyone's fit. And then when they're all fit, you'll see how we play. Injuries happen, and it's a results business. It's not dressage. You don't get points for style. You get points for winning. And I think that's what, at the moment, I feel like there's been a disconnect for me personally with the manager, where I've gone, like, that statement, though, that interview with Gary Neville was revealing, was honest. I think there was a lot that I could listen to what he said and understand and get behind, but there were some things that he said where I go, yeah, that don't sit right.
I thought I came out and tweeted, I thought that he came across pretty well in the interview. There was stuff that I disagreed with, but I didn't want to harp on them because it looks like I'm proper hounding him, because I've been fairly critical. But even the injury thing, I do hear it'll make us better in some points. But I also have seen this. We saw this issue early in the season when we had our full complement of players from the Wolves game. We even saw it at different periods last season. I think I said it in terms of in a revisionist way. I think a lot of people have like oversold last season. I know it was a step in the right direction, and if you look at it in like a reductive way, we finished third and won a trophy. Two cup finals. But the whole season itself wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
No, but you also beat Barcelona in the season. You also didn't we beat Liverpool, City and Arsenal all at home?
There were some growing pains. It was more like obviously the 7-0 loss at Liverpool.
The away results were shit.
Do you know what I mean? But I saw more than enough last season from Ten Hag where I was excited about this season. And I saw decent bits in pre-season as well. I was really looking forward to it. So the way that this season's hit is like
in pre-season though, where we were bad.
Yeah.
Like the what was meant to be the first choice team was really dysfunctional, and it was like the second lot with like Palestri and Sancho and all them.
I think I was harping onto that.
Absolutely balling out.
I think it was us against Arsenal. Well, I thought we looked okay.
Dortmund was similar. Like the second team smashed them.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like to me, if you was to ask me, I'll get to the super chat in a minute. Is I'm a big fan of Thiago Motta. Do you know what I mean? And because when I'm looking at managers, I'm looking at their upward trajectory and their ceiling, and it's people like, he's the closest to Xabi Alonso in terms of what he's done. He's turned Bologna from a team that was basically dwindling at the bottom of Serie A, and he's made them a top 4 team in one season, playing some of the best football in the league. Those are the type of managers that you usually think, because Xabi Alonso did the same thing for Leverkusen, obviously at a crazier scale.
I mean, shout out Leverkusen. They are doing an absolute madness this season. And it, like Dej, we came in this morning and Dej goes, it's just juju. Like, there's no way that 97th minute equalisers left, right, and centre. Can I just say, I've never wanted to go to a Super Cup more in my life than if it's Real Madrid and Leverkusen. I'm going to get there after an hour. I'm going to get in there in the 61st minute and just sit down with my popcorn ready to go, because it's not started until then.
I think as a Christian man, I'd be scared. As a Christian man, I'd be scared to go to the Super Cup of Leverkusen Madrid, because they are definitely dealing with the dark arts, them two clubs.
It's insane, isn't it?
I think after... Did you see the tweet? There's a tweet that got like... Someone tweeted and he got like 200k likes, and he said, I would like to see what would happen if Leverkusen and Real Madrid were to play against each other. I feel like Lucifer himself would spawn after the 88th minute, probably on the field. That's what it looks like to me.
It'd be mad. And I think that's got to, for football's sake, we need to see that Super Cup. I think that's what we're all here to see, is that Super Cup. Right, there's loads of Super Chats, so let me get into those. Get all the way back to the top one. So there's one from EI which says, what happened to Sabitzer in the end? Dortmund didn't want him. Felt like he was better over our current option. I thought he was better than he was. A lot of fans weren't having him last year, but he'd have played so much this year. Was the next one. Dada Caesar says, looked good last night. Did I get close to Bex? Got about this far away from him. Bottled it for a selfie. Long game.
No, did he?
Also, my second super chat was ignored during yesterday's live session. I just missed it, mate. It wasn't intentional. Akash says, Neville is Ten Hag in, therefore INEOS are for now. Do you think there's something in trying to read what other people are saying around it? I hate that
Gary Neville
phrasing, by the way. I'm in or I'm out or I'm what? No.
Yeah, it's a bit too harsh. But I think the Gary Neville stuff.
Too Arsenal fan TV, man. Just stop it.
People are saying it might be promo-ish, like almost like, oh, is he in INEOS pocket or whatever? But I think Gary Neville's connected enough where he might hear things. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny, right? So Gary Neville came. I was standing sort of in the red carpet bit. So if you've not seen it, I did an interview on. By the way, and as for everyone else questioning why I was getting interviewed alongside York, Cole, like Schmeichel, fucking Beckham, etc. Yeah, I don't know either, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was asked to, so I did. That's the top and bottom of it, right? But as I'm standing there waiting for my turn, because obviously as Beckham and Neville and all them lot are turning up, I'm getting fucking bumped, right? Because clearly, Steve McLaren comes over and fucking Nev grabs him and goes, I want to talk to you about what happened in like the 72nd minute. And I was like, what? But they're there. They're both right there. And I was thinking,
in 72nd minute,
there were so many people gripping Steve McLaren and saying similar sorts of things. And I've seen loads of tweets this morning. And I think it's the move. Loads of people are saying, before that cup final, just sit them down. It's a 3-parter. It's out next Friday. They shown us clips of the first 2, and then they shown us the whole of episode 3. It's fucking unreal. It's so good. It's so well shot. If you read the 99 book, for me it feels like they've lifted that 99 book and made it a video. Yeah. Because everyone was like, there's so many revelations in it, and I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then I was like, no, I've heard all these before. Like, I think they've used Matt Dickinson's book and made it a video. It's still fucking good though. You're sitting there. I must have sat there like this. Just absolutely loving life. Just thinking, fucking hell, we were so good, you know. We were so fucking good. But yeah, so it's out next Friday. Just fucking cancel work. I might not even come in next week. I might just fucking watch it back to back to back. It's good though. Yeah. It's fucking good. You come out of it feeling real sorry for Jesper Blomqvist though. I don't think he had the personality to exist with this football team. You know, there's obviously the very famous Roy Keane. Dwight York's got one, but you know, his first training session, he walks out onto the pitch, Keane twats one at him, which is what Roy Keane does. He obviously ricochets off his knee, and Roy Keane turns around to the rest of the squad and goes, we paid $5 million for that. Yeah. Like, and this is a guy that's like chronically like nervous,
a bit shy, a bit
and
anxious.
It's like fucking months to sort of get over that. Yeah. Lagarvulin says, is Ten Hag out chatting more anti-United fans and attention-hungry media? It could be. But I think the question marks on him are also quite valid. I don't think this, like, if this was all coming out last year. And by the way, all of you bells that were like, I told you last year he was shit. Yeah, but last year he wasn't shit. That's like saying it's fucking 4 o'clock when it's 12:30.
Yeah.
You can't wait till 4 o'clock and say, told you it's 4 o'clock.
I will say that because there is a misconception, though, that when it comes to like foot fandom and like tribalism, that having blind faith makes you some sort of like better fan. Yeah, I disagree with that. Do you know what I mean? Some people think that's the case when
any manager's appointed saying this isn't going to work out. Yeah, do you know what? How many managers leave on their own terms? I can think of like 2, right? So it don't happen. Yeah. Every single managerial appointment.
He's got the super chats.
Goes west. Not many walk out like Fergie, a hero.
Yeah, I know.
No, even the likes of Wenger, the way Wenger was treated was an absolute disgrace. So
you very rarely get those, but yeah, but like
most managers just get the bullet. Because
right now you got Ten Hag. I'm not really a big fan of those 3 options. I thought the likes of Motto is probably going Juve. You got Amorim, who's having more interviews than a graduate. You know, like a postgrad.
Just banging out all over LinkedIn.
All over LinkedIn. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. And then you've got probably the Girona manager, but I don't know. The City link might be a problem there, but
I think it will be.
Other than that, there's not much, and that's what's kind of working for Ten Hag.
Jesus Christ is in the comments. Didn't know he's a fan. Welcome. He says, but Steve, our squad right now is not even plan C. A centre-back pairing of a no-leg Casemiro and Johnny Evans against Elise, Eze and Mateta is like plan Z. I can accept that, but then please adapt the team around that. Like, you can't just throw that out and be like, well, they know plan A, so they'll deal with plan A. Because what happens? Oh, you get spanked up 4-0. There's only so many times that the ownership's going to allow that, or the fan base is going to allow that. You can't all be like, well, if we had our players, that wouldn't have happened. But you got to go find a way to win. Win ugly. It just do it. Mark Huss says, for me, there's only 2 options that would excite me. Hansi Flick, I'm not even sure about that in all honesty, or Amorim. I think would excite me because I know it'd excite me because I panicked a little bit when I heard Liverpool were in for him. Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
I think the one that excited everyone is the link that was obviously nonsense. It was about a month ago. Zidane. I think just because of the bougie name, still in the Champions League, but I don't think it'd be the best fit.
It works with Zidane. Yeah. Stephen Harrison, super chat says, no time for beer. I've got to pick a tuxedo ready for tomorrow night. Up the paddock. I was going to vote for Ronnie, but he pied me in town the other night. The trophies have just been delivered, actually. So if you are a member, you can come to the awards do tomorrow night. It is in here.
Who did I pie in town?
Stephen.
I don't remember.
So members, have a look for your email. Look out for your emails today. I hope to be... So this is pretty big, actually. I think this is worth talking about. So today, I am hoping to be sending out the email for you lot to select next year's kit. This is what we are about as a democratic, fan-owned football club. We don't just say, become a member and that's you. You get to have a say. Obviously, we have the fan vote, which I think a lot of clubs do have a fan vote for Player of the Year and stuff like that. That's been settled and dealt with. It's quite emphatic, actually, for one particular individual. We've had votes on certain structures. We've had votes on sponsorship ethics. We've had votes on bringing in junior teams. There's all sorts of other stuff that I want to bring to the table. Once we get a sponsorship offer that's gone down to the wire, ready to sign, that will be getting put to the membership to see if you want to pass them through as next year's sponsor. We really, really, really do treat this democratically as a football club. The AGM is going to be broadcast live probably in the next month or so. So all of these things that we are doing, because I think this is the correct way football clubs should be run for their community. And a lot of people look at the word community and think that means like the postcode that football club exists within. But I think Paddock is showing that we can do this on the fucking global scale. Like, we send membership packs to fucking Alaska and New Zealand, and not so much representation in South America. I think that might be the Spanish language thing. But all over Europe, Norway, Ireland, Germany, Spain, like tons of places in Europe, all over America, all over Africa. We've got Singapore. Like, we are literally global. We are in the top 100 most subscribed to football YouTube channels in the world, and we're 41st in Britain. If that doesn't fucking highlight some of the mad work that we're doing, then, I don't know what would, but the awards due is tomorrow. Owners are allowed because they're fucking owners of the club, so they are more than fucking welcome to attend. If you are a member, check your emails today. It'll probably be about 5 o'clock when I send it out. Also, if you are a member, you need to go and check the past emails and today's email, because if you're not in the Telegram group, you are genuinely missing out. There is gold going into that Telegram group every single day. We've got this whole busy Telegram group. There's nearly 100 in there. I want 100 before the end of the season, and the season ends tomorrow, so I need another 15 in there by the end of today. There's 100 of our owners already every day just chatting and building a fucking community. It's absolutely sensational. So big ups to all of those that are in there at the moment. If you want to get involved, just search Stretford Paddock Fan Ownership. There's a link right there on how to do it. It's monthly or yearly, whichever way you want to rock and roll it. Jesus Christ back with a super chat. Amen. He says, who would you have there? Amas, Amrabat, up the paddock, by the way.
Ogane.
Love the...
Ogane. Up the paddock, by the way. Past the pearly
gates. With a heavenly super chat. It's not necessarily about personnel. It kind of is about personnel, but you can also protect them a little bit as well. There's ways of using the system so you don't see them getting exposed.
Well, me and Steve spoke about this in the office upstairs. The better managers in the world, and one of the best managerial traits that you can have, are the managers that know how to maximise the players and the personnel that they've got. He knows how to maximise their strengths, and he knows how to minimise their weaknesses. Those are what the best managers do. So if you have players that you feel like lack qualities in certain areas and that, if you are playing them or you're putting them in positions, you almost need to formulate a way where they're playing to their strengths in whatever zone of the pitch they're playing in or whatever instructions you're giving them. I think the problem is, for example, if you've got a way of playing of having this open, expansive, almost 3-1-6 midfield that's very open, and then you go away to Palace with the transition monsters that they've got, like Eze and Elise and even A who came on, and Edouard, and then you start a midfield pivot of Erik with Eriksen in it, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail almost. And then it's not like we had a plethora of options anyway, that is true, but you could have gone for Amrabat maybe instead of Eriksen. A little bit more defensive, a little bit more pragmatic than him. Has a little bit more legs. He's not like got amazing legs, but he's physically better than Eriksen is. Yep. And it's also like, could you have maybe just dropped the three a little bit deeper? I think they're just slight adjustments. And he's come out and explained to Gary Neville, which I kind of hear, which is, I would never change my philosophy and style. Stubbornness as a manager is good in a way, but sometimes it can border on being naive.
Well, I think stubbornness.
He says he doesn't want to change the mindset. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're telling a manager,
you have to have stubbornness. So I had a conversation about this with one of our players, who was like, "We need to change to blah blah formation," and I said, "No, we play this formation because this is how we play. I would like us to learn a secondary formation. I really want to try out a 3-5-2 because I think having the two players next to each other at the top of the pitch has got loads of benefits for it. But if I just change my formation, this obviously goes all the way down to our level and right the way through football. If any manager just changed their formation on the whim of a different player every single week, like, you would absolutely crumble. You can't do that. It takes a long time to learn a formation, to learn the nuances of formation. I'll let you into a secret. No team that's played a back three's ever in 4 years beaten Paddock. Why? Don't know. But it hasn't. And it's almost like when I see a team line up in a back three, I kind of go, oh, sweet. I don't know if it's because they tend to leave. I don't know if people play a back three because they often play against a forward two, but we play a forward three. So I don't know if their back three going against our forward three 1v1 and the pace that we have in our forward line just fucking always gets ahead. But there's certain things that we see with different formations that I haven't played a 3-5-2 enough to know what the negative outcomes, being on the flip side of that, would be, where I go, okay, so if we play a 3-5-2, all right, well, who tracks this runner into midfield? Where does this guy go when we come up against, like, does my wing back push on or does my wing back drop? Like, I don't know those nuances yet. So that's why I would like to test it out in like second halves of pre-season friendlies and then watch the take back and go, all right, they're getting runs at the midfield here. Now, is that team or is that all teams? And you don't know that.
There's a good point from Rory C. Like, it's a decent little statistic of saying obviously never been beat by a back three, but you obviously got to take into account like sample size variance where there's obviously not as many. Do you know what I mean?
But it's probably,
you might play a back three every few weeks, so it means you got less games, so less chance to lose. But I think you've still played them enough.
Over the course of 4 years, the fact that it's never happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I do hear you. I think back three starting to be phased out of the game now at the top level. We came up against Palace the other day, who played a back three, and I actually think United play better against teams that play a back three, from what I realised, because I thought we were better against Coventry when they played a back three. I think we were better. Obviously, we got more joy against Sheffield United, but as a poor team when they played a back three. I thought even Palace didn't play their best when they won 4-0, which is very, very damning.
No, it was almost like it wasn't a feisty game. It was quite a dull game, really. So there's a few questions that I wanted to get into. And I don't think I finished on the super chats either, actually. So yeah, on who would you have in there? Yeah. So to answer that question properly, really, it's not necessarily about who, it's how. You know, it's how you tell those players to act. You know, you look at our midfield. We sort of press with a 6. Why don't we just press with the 4 and then leave the 2 in the halfway area? So if we do get broke on, because guess what? I don't know if you've fucking seen us. We get broke on a lot. Like the way that at the start of the season we went, bloody hell, we're conceding a lot of shots, which was different to last year. Last year we didn't concede all these shots. I wouldn't mind actually seeing what the stats were, but it weren't this. But then as the injuries have kicked in, that's gotten worse. So like, can we not put something in place to fucking limit the amount of shots that we're allowing? We've had more shots in 2024 than teams that are going to be relegated.
I think what it is Ten Hag's system and philosophy requires top level talent. You've seen proof that Ten Hag's tactics does work when he was in Ajax, but in Ajax his team was very It was vastly superior to the rest of the teams in the league.
But he still did well in Europe.
Do you know what I mean? That people say that, which is true. You can get a cup run, same way Dortmund have, even though they finished 5th in Bundesliga and in the final. There was obviously a season in Europe that people don't talk about with Ten Hag where they didn't get out of the group stages in the Champions League, but people harp on that one Champions League run that they got to the semi-final with, but they eventually obviously got beat by Tottenham. But I think his style is very, very demanding. It's on players from a quality perspective, a technical standpoint, and obviously a physical. And I'm not going to make excuses for the players, because I think a lot of our players aren't good enough to play Ten Hag's system. But it's just one of them where, in the Premier League, for his style to work, is he going to have enough time to basically buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 top level players to be able to compete in the Premier League against some of the quality that is in the league? And I don't know if he's going to have enough time to do that, because I don't know whether the system that we're seeing will work if he doesn't change it, because it's almost like he has to have a superior team to a lot of the players in the league for this to work, like he did in Ajax. And I don't know if he's too stubborn almost to adjust it.
And that's where your real great managers, I could even put Zidane in this, and people go, hang on, Zidane won a trophy, like, was it every 22nd game or something like that? Yeah, he did, right? But I got a lot of question marks about Zidane. Was he just the perfect foil for that team at that time? You don't know until you see him somewhere else. Or you see him build his own team. Like, I think it'd be safe to say at the moment, Simeone has built that team. That's his team. He hasn't just inherited a team, treated them nice, having like a prime Ronaldo in the team and just going, just fucking play, lads. You'll figure it out. When you see what Jose did earlier in his career, where he would go anywhere, and Jose had like 3 or 4 different, across Porto, Chelsea, Inter and Real Madrid, he had 4 different styles of play and didn't lose a home game. He was only not uber successful in Spain because he came up against Pep and Messi. If he comes into this era in Spain Real Madrid don't drop a fucking throw-in. Like, they win everything. If he has that team with Jose against this era Barcelona, Real Madrid just, they do invincibles back-to-back. Like, they do an absolute madness, but he just had that Barcelona team at the time. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. He still won a league. He still did he win a Champions League with Madrid?
Mourinho.
I don't think he did he?
Not sure he did. I think maybe one.
I think he got to a final, didn't he?
Did
Either
he?
way.
They'll let us know in the comments.
Either way, he was uber successful with different teams. So you could say, appointing Jose Mourinho, it's going to get you X, Y, and Z. Some managers, you don't know what they're going to be able to do. But what those sorts of managers do, from Jose to Simeone to what Fergie did, to a certain extent, even like the likes of Klopp, absolutely Alonso, they're able to adapt to get the job done. And that is the most important thing. The most important thing is the winning. Anyone who tells you that it's about style first, wrong. It's about winning. Anyone who tells you it's about some fucking weirdness, whether it's possession or XG, wrong. It's winning. Right? That's what you're getting judged on. No one gives a fuck about how you did.
Exactly. He didn't, by the way. He won. Is it Inter and Porto?
Definitely Inter and Porto. I just don't know if he did it at Real Madrid.
No, he didn't. I
mean, Real Madrid have that many fucking Champions Leagues. It could have happened, couldn't it? And it just gets brushed under the carpet because
they're probably likely going to have another one for number 15. That is literally their
La Decima fell about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's literally their.
And meanwhile, they're looking at getting number 15.
I know it, and then they're adding like Davis and Mbappe and that to the mix. I think Real Madrid are approaching on one of their Galactico eras as well without much competition, where they're just going to have the most valuable squad in the world, and it's just going to be like Vinicius, Bellingham, Mbappe, Davis, Tchouaméni. It's just like
Jason
Hendrick,
says Mourinho personality isn't compatible with 2024 players. I think I disagree on that, because you could say the same about field tilt. Yeah, fuck that. Like someone like Simeone. I think Simeone and Mourinho's personalities are very, very similar. But you say his personality is not compatible with 2024 players. It's not compatible with fucking losers. Because if you listen to people who actually play for Jose Mourinho, they sound like they want to shag him.
Yeah, but the issue,
like, you know what I mean? Like, they fucking love it.
Yeah, the thing is with Mourinho and Simeone is they seem to have a bit of charisma and personality though that the players that they play for take to, because it is a skill as a manager having the ability to almost have your players want to run through brick walls for you, and that's at some stage has been the negative that's been pointed at Ten Hag. Is that, does he have that kind of man management skill where
early
people
on,
get
that was the
him?
one thing people were sort of saying is, he lacks a little bit of the softer side, and that's sort of what Steve McLaren's role was to come in and do, because everything that you hear about Steve McLaren is just like a top bloke. So obviously he was an excellent assistant coach under Sir Alex, but he was just known as like just being such a great sort of approachable.
Is he because you know what, I come outside on the balcony in San Diego and down, and he was walking down the ring, and I said, Steve, and I said, "You're right, Steve," and he just looked at me like I was a weirdo.
To be fair though, I also went to the bar one night and he was sitting in a corner, and I thought, obviously I know his son Joe, right? So I thought, do I go and say hello, or I'll fucking leave him to it? And he was just holding court in the corner. There must have been 12 people just hanging on to every word he said. I think he looks like an absolutely sound bloke, to be honest. So.
Yeah.
Super chat there from SK says, we need more than managers for our players. People like Scholes and Keane just needed that bit extra. They already had the mentality, but our squad... Yeah, I see this all the time, man. And my whole thing is, it's not on the manager to motivate. I really don't think it is.
I think players have got to self-motivate. I'm in agreement. I think you can get... I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think in football managers have a huge bearing on a player's motivation. I think a lot of that has to come through the players' mentalities themselves. So I do agree on that.
A manager's job on a match day. So obviously we're playing tomorrow, last game of the season tomorrow. What's my job? I got to get my team selection right. That is the most important thing for a manager. And sometimes the team selection isn't just the team selection. It's the implications on who you select and who you leave out are as important as the actual team that takes the field as well, because there's all sorts of other internal relationships and motivations that are going on with those sorts of things. This player's having a bit of a hard time with, for us at this level, work is an issue. This guy's not going to get out of work until the last minute. Do I bench him or just keep him out of the squad altogether? Or do I need him and therefore I'm going to have to take a gamble that he'll arrive late? That disrupts my warm-up, disrupts my team talk. You know, that's my main job, is picking a team. Secondary to that is the team instructions, because we play basically the same every single week. If we get a little bit of an info about an opposition, which is rare at our level, we might adapt certain things. We might go, right, you're dealing with this particular threat, you deal with that. They play a certain blah, 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 so here's how we're going to deal with that. And then outside of that, it's just keeping the mood happy, isn't it? And basically being a temperature checker. I don't know if people talk about that enough in terms of management, of taking the temperature of the room. I can tell when the players are up for it. And when we start our warm-up, I leave them to it with the activation, bit of a rondo, getting used to it, being a bit social. And then I sort of come and try and breathe on them a little bit when we're doing the possession box, right? That, for me, is where I see the temperature of what my team's going to do. Now, it might be different for different managers and different teams. I know Sir Alex didn't even leave his office on a match day at Old Trafford. Just stayed in his office. Says he hated it, but he just left them to go warm up without him. Did his team talk like 2 hours beforehand, and then it's a final little reminder, you remember this, remember, watch out for his left foot, blah, blah. Do a couple of little things to each individual player, and then that was his job done. I like to go and take the temperature of the warm-up in the possession box. I want to see the lads getting physical with each other. I want to see the talk. I want to see the detail. I want to see the close-knit touches. Possession box, we do it in the side, the area, the channel at the side of the box, only as deep as the box as well. So I have the full starting 10, and the keeper's doing his warm-up on his own over there. In there, 3 midfielders plus a full-back, 3 attackers plus a full-back, and the centre-halves are at either end, because they're just recycling possession back into each other. And what we're looking for in there is, there's so many collisions, there's so many touches, because it's such a condensed area that your touch has to be sharp. If your touch ain't bang on in there, you've just lost the ball, haven't you? So we're looking for tight marking, tight pressing, tight touches, detail on the pass. Can you turn? Do you need to play it back? Get used to like giving instructions to teammates as you pass the ball. And if we have a nice, loud, snappy ball, like the last 30 seconds, I ask them to play on one touch. And when we play on one touch, sometimes it looks absolutely outrageous, doesn't it? If they can get through that and do that, then I go, right, we're ready. And then we usually go on and do all right. I mean, you know, we win like 70% of our games, so we're clearly fucking doing something right. But I think that's the role of the manager. The manager isn't to be like, oi, motivate. Like, what the fuck is that?
I'm not saying it's not at all, though. There needs to be a bit of that, a bit of galvanising. I think that before a game, less so, but there does still need to be a bit of motivation. I think the players do need to favour slightly in terms of they have to perform. I think a lot of the galvanising that you like to see from gaffers and motivation is half time. I think half time sometimes you may need a bit of that. Players might need a bit of a G up, a bit of a second gear, because and I'm not gonna lie to you, that's one of the biggest criticisms I've ever had of Ten Hag is United, for me, in his whole all of Ten Hag's tenure, even last season, United have been so bad in second halves compared to the first halves, and I saw it as a bit of a pattern and a trend even last season, even worse this. And it's
not
maybe
just in goals either. It's like performance down
like,
again, didn't it?
Especially the first 15 minutes after half time, we usually when we're the most flat, and I kind of thought that worries me as someone who played about like what the manager's like at half time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Ollie was the opposite with that. I remember saying like, fucking hell, we're genuinely so fucking good with this.
Yeah.
A couple of super chats here. Another one from our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. It says, if INEOS did select Southgate, would you trust their thought process, and how long should we give managers we hire, in your opinions? I don't know if you can give a set time that says you need to give a manager X. It's a pure gut feeling. You kind of know the time is right or the time is not right, and I don't know if we've reached the point with Ten Hag yet. I don't think we have, but there's some stuff that's got to figure out like and change. Would I trust their judgment? I would question their judgment, because I'd be like, what has Gareth Southgate done? You know, everything we've done at the moment appears to be trying for best in class. So if you then appoint Gareth Southgate, I go, that's not what the patterns that you've been setting are so far, and that would worry me. Abhinav says, joined late. How was the premiere yesterday? Yeah, it was amazing. Did I get arrested, or are we going to be disappointed? No, I didn't get arrested. It was cool though. I had a yellow card alongside my ticket, and it said, show this to a steward and they'll take you to an after party. So I was like, where's this? And it was in Walkabout, actually, just next to the Printworks. And I walked in, and I'm like, holy shit. It's like Ronnie Johnson, Jesper Blomqvist. Jordi Cruyff was there, which was a bit of a shock. I actually genuinely wanted to speak to Jordi Cruyff, but he was busy eating. I'm not going to go mither him while he's eating. And then Nicky Butt was standing at the bar on his own, so I went and had a quick chat with Nicky Butt. And it was just like production and players for like the first half an hour or something in there. And I was like, I'm going to have to get off here now. And then as I got off, fucking Beckham turned up. Bastard. Craig says, loving the Fruit Arc. Just got a few teas. Nice. We've got the bottom ones, what we've got there. SK, a manager for me focuses already motivated minds. Things like I don't know about G'ing up, but I might remind, let's say Ronnie for an example, seeing as though he's sitting there. I might say to Ronnie, like, listen, fucking his one-to-ones, his dribbling is ace. I might say, listen, get out your feet, get past them. First time you get past them and let's see what happens, yeah? And then just have them chasing you all game. Remind the players what they're fucking great at. Because sometimes players can sit there thinking, I'm going to try and add a new fucking trick to my locker today, or I'm going to play a different way.
That might be just as tactical as managing, because it's like what we said before. If you think that's the case and you're like, hold your width, try and get space, and then use your dribbling, whereas that's more so tactical than anything else. Or like, but I understand what sometimes managers in the past have said, express yourself, don't worry about touches, whatever. So yeah, it can be that way, because that's what Ancelotti gets a lot of credit for in his managerial career, is just being his almost relaxed nature of it. I think that's a little bit of an indictment on him in terms of, not an indictment, but like, I think it's discrediting Ancelotti, because he's not just there vibing it to be as successfully as he has been.
I almost hope he is, because
he's not. There's obviously there's tactical nuances to Ancelotti, of course. Do you know what I mean? He's not just taking the piss. But I think it's almost he's just found a way in what is a very structural, rigid kind of football manager era that we are in this generation of football in terms of managers and the way that play. He's almost against the grain in that, in terms of he's just all this fluidity in that, because I think off the ball you see that Real Madrid are very structured.
Well, he said that, but word for word.
On the ball they just fucking it's like almost like a 11-a-side rondo almost.
I'm pretty sure Pep said this at one point, or it might have been Thierry Henry talking about Pep, where he says he coaches up until the final third, and then in the final third you have to play what you see. And I agree with that in a big way. And Ancelotti mentioned off the ball, you have to be structured, because there are threats that you're going to want to have specific instructions for, that the opposition are going to put on you. So you can create something for, this is how we do. So, off the ball, we're 4-4-2, compact. I think it's the best fucking shape. It's the easiest one to recognise, rather than going, let's go 3-1, 3-3, or just something fucking mad, or you track him, or you track him. 4-4-2, nice and rigid, limit the gaps in between yous, and go super, super narrow. Let's try and be like the width of the fucking goalpost. So, super fucking narrow. Can't play through us, you've got to play round us, then we'll use the touchline to tackle you as well. Like, you have to be organised off the ball. On the ball, you're just going to have principles. So you might say, for example, we're going to try and keep it on the floor. We're going to try and look to exploit the gaps in between the centre-half and the full-back. We're going to try and break lines through the centre of the park. And then we're going to try and hit the byline looking for a cutback. That's a principle of play. Some other people might say, from the centre-half, I'm going to fucking dosh it in behind the full-back, and we're going to try and battle our way forward like that. Some people might spam crosses into the box. That's a principle of play. Some people might call it a tactic, but I think people elevate what a manager does. I think a manager is as important as a good player in a team. Like the impact a good central midfielder or a good centre half or a good centre forward is the same as a good manager, in my opinion. I think managers have become more important. Do you reckon?
In this era, in terms of, because it's become so systematic and tactical, everything. I think and it's almost become so chess-like.
Wouldn't that great if Ancelotti win the Champions League again?
True, but I think managers have a bit more bearing. But you're saying that as if there isn't tactics to Ancelotti. There still is. Do you know what I mean?
But he's less systematic.
But his way of like the flexible freedom that they have on the ball, that is still a style in itself. It's, I think, what's the word that they were using? If it's relationism. So he's got forward players and talented players forward players, and he's got talented players in the front six that are all quality, and they all almost have these really good relationships with each other. So he plays on that. So he's basically saying, when we get the ball, you two just find each other, play off each other, and that type of relationism that he has obviously worked very well. But then again, it's obviously helped by the fact that these players at Real Madrid are fucking quality as well. So they're good enough to do that. Do you know what I mean? Because if you went to Burnley and was like, oh, you front three, just do what you want once you need to get the ball, they might just mess it up. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they're very intricate and incisive. The likes of Vinicius and Rodrigo and that when they get on the ball.
That isn't necessarily verbal instructions. That can sometimes come from the practice that you put on.
Yeah.
You know, you might not even have to say it, but you might just be like, right, so we do a lot of close control, up back through type stuff where we're looking for third man runs into the box. Or you might look to try and spread that left to right or right to left. You know, I think whatever you guide in your practice, I mean, the mantra is meant to be whole part whole, in it, in terms of how you set up your practices to see things on the full pitch. But I think Ancelotti, I don't like the term motivator because it doesn't add up to me. Like, you know, do you think you ever had to motivate like a fucking Seedorf for a game or something like that? I just don't see it.
A lot of players are different though, so some people might need the motivation, but some people do. That's the thing though. It's the same way if you're a teacher. Being a manager is like being a teacher, innit? When you've got a class of 25 kids. You can't necessarily
like having 25 children. You're completely correct.
You can't teach everyone the same way. So some people might be visual learners, some people might not be. And these are the sort of stuff that managers have got to consider. They can be one way with one player, not one way with the other. That's all part and parcel of it, because I'm just saying it from what I've experienced in it.
I find that the hardest part of being a manager, to be honest, is like, I'd like to treat everyone the same, but you can't treat everyone the same because everyone's fucking different. And our lot are all mental, so it's fucking literally like dealing with 25 children. And you've got to have a different strategy for every single one of them. It's fucking draining. Like, and how Fergie managed to do that over 40 years with thousands of players, because he didn't just know his first team, he knew the reserves, he knew the fucking under 9s that was coming through. Like, he had his eye on everything. He had his finger on the pulse of all that. It's incredible. Like, his Dunbar number must be absolutely through the roof. Let me just finish on these super chats and then we'll call it a day. Corey says, watching live from Manchester is mad and brilliant. Can't read it now, thank you. Shout out, lads, from your friend from Las Vegas. Cheers. What do you do in Las Vegas? You got to answer me that, because I don't know you'd live there.
It's like Dubai, isn't it?
Elite managers are also master motivators. Hard to see Ten Hag being able to motivate, but no other manager post-Alex Ferguson couldn't get over slumps in performance.
It's the SK one that says Steve Ronaldo, so what have we got? Players that don't like each other. I was going to say that teams will play better if the players like each other. Players don't like each other. That is definitely a problem in football.
Abhinav says, Ancelotti's eyebrow raise has superpowers. I don't think anybody doubts that whatsoever.
These are just the comments up to now.
Yeah, like people say, so Ancelotti has the defence very drilled. Yeah, I mean, he literally says that's how he rocks it. Like, he wants to play with a bit of freedom and expression. You don't want to limit your players. Like, you want to see your players play with risk. Like, for me, if I can criticise Ronaldo, his dribbling's fantastic. He generally beats his man 1v1, but he doesn't play with enough risk. I'd like to see him lose the ball more, trying something. Like, his pass completion's always in the 90%. I don't want that from my wingers. But how many assists you end up in this year?
Not
fucking enough.
Low for me.
Not enough. And that's
low for me
next year. Anyway, cheers for tuning in. As always, members, check your emails. If you are a member already, come and join the Telegram group. It'll be on. Check the last 3 or 4 newsletter emails. It's at the bottom of there. Go and check it out. There's a link there to come and join us on Telegram. It's absolutely worth your time to come and do so. Otherwise, check out the newsletter that'll be coming out sometime today. Otherwise, thank you as always for tuning in. Thanks for all the super chats and all that lot. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.